Hi, everyone. Good evening. My name is Jordan Wimmer. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Thrive Savings. So Thrive Savings, we help our users save money. We help them save a lot of money. We help them increase their financial wellness. But as you can see from the topic, we're not talking about fintech tonight. But I wanted to. I thought about telling you what it's like to raise an angel seed round and what fundraising has been like for me in the past year. I thought about talking about the changing nature of work and how we are saving our users about $100 a month, regardless of whether they're part-time, full-time freelancers or Uber drivers. And I even thought about, sharing some really funny anecdotes of what it was like to go from a banker living in London, doing deals in Geneva, Hong Kong, and Dubai, and then ditching the pinstripes and embracing the flip-flops and moving to the Valley. But then last week, I got an email. And I decided to change my topic, and I decided to tell you a little bit about my story. When we think about the Me Too movement, it can feel very removed from us. It can feel abstract. It can feel Hollywood. But I wanted to stand before you this evening as a CEO, as a founder, as a company owner, as an entrepreneur, and as a member of your tech community, and tell you that this happened to me too. In 2008, I went through my own Weinstein-like experience as a banker in London. And it's funny how this chart of the S&P 500 over the last 10 years, how it kind of mimicked my life. In 2008, the market was at an all-time low, and so was I. I'm unable to get into the specifics of what happened, but suffice to say, it took a lot of time and a lot of healing for things to become upward trending again. And then last week, I got this email, and it made me really angry. I'm not sure if you can read it at the back, but the crux of it is there's a young woman who's working here in the city of Toronto at her first job outside of university. And the man that she's reporting to, her direct boss, is harassing her. She works at an investment company firm that we would all know. And her boss has been at the firm for 10 years. And he's kind of known for this type of behavior. And so this young lady reached out to me for help, for guidance, for navigation, for support. And the sad thing is, it's not uncommon for me to get these emails from young women. So what would you do? What would you do if you got this email? What would you do if you saw this happening to a young woman at your firm? What would you do if you saw it happening to her at your firm? Would you say something? Would you get involved? What would you do? So, what's next? We've heard all of the Me Too stories, the experiences. You've seen this email. You've heard my story. What is next? And I have a simple ask for you. I have a very simple ask. Help me end the culture of complicity. It can be our instinct to look away. It can be our instinct to not get involved and to not get uncomfortable. What I'm asking you to do is to get involved and get uncomfortable and to say something. It is so important to realize and to highlight that this is not a zero-sum game. This is not a zero-sum game. It is not man versus woman, us versus them, he versus she. Not at all. It is about the we. It is about the we, the collective we in this room. This room and all of you have the power to make this stop. And so, my ask is simple. My ask is to say something and get uncomfortable. Thank you. Any questions? Alex.
I'll start. If everyone can do one action, what's the one action that you recommend, or what's the best way to step forward and help?
Well, I think daily, for too long, people have been untouchable. And so the first thing I would say is if you see something that's not right, and it doesn't even have to do with, we can talk, go even broader than harassment. If it's something that doesn't seem right, say something. It's the only way things will change. So it's actually to verbalize that. It's really to get involved. And of course, for companies, to have a policy on harassment and sexual harassment is number one most important thing. And we're seeing a lot of that. We're seeing in the Valley, the Foundry Group, Brad Feld, they've done a lot of great work around that, and we are starting to see that. We're starting to see clauses put in to investments that if there is some sort of harassment, then there would be an investigation, and then ultimately that person could be fired. So we're getting there, but you've got to come forward. You've got to stand up for people.
Can I ask how you responded to that email?
Well, I just got it last week, so that's a very fluid situation. I think she's so brave to come forward. My suggestion to her was she has a firm that has there is an HR department there. It's really to report it. I told her my advice was to report it. And that's only my best advice based on my own experience. So it's still fluid.
Last question.
So my question is more, how do we get men more involved in these kind of movements? That's kind of my interest, because when I look at these problems, most of it is about complicit, and a lot of people know what's happening, especially men. So I'm more curious about how do we get men involved in these kind of movements?
That's a great question, because it's not just one person or one gender that's going to fix it. And you're right, we need men on our side, and it's really through strong men that we can help fix this situation. I think what's been happening now with the fact that the stories and experiences are being shared more, because for a long time I didn't share what happened to me for many, many years out of just deep humiliation and shame, and that's very natural for a lot of people. But the fact that this is getting out there, it's becoming more known. It comes down to getting involved. It comes down to if you're, mentoring women. There's a lot of different things that can be discussed, but it's about getting involved, saying something. I think of this young woman's firm, the email that I had showed you, how this guy could slide for 10 years, and how many women had worked for him and left. We don't even know what that damage is, but he didn't operate on an island. That was the point, right? People saw what was happening, and they turned a blind eye. So it's very simple. Just don't let it be okay.
Thank you, Jordan.